Hi, it's Ashley from Sweet Dreams Bake Shop, and welcome back to my channel where I make a lot of cake and cookie decorating tutorials as well as give a lot of baking business tips. So today's video is basically a product of the fact that I want to clear out my freezer. I need to make sure that it is fairly empty so I can store most of my future Christmas baked goods in there, which I'm going to be starting this weekend. Now I had a whole bunch of leftover macarons in there and they take up a lot of space, so I needed to kind of use them up so that I can make more macarons that are going to be Christmas themed that are going to go into my Christmas treat boxes. So in preparation for coming up with what's going to go inside of these Christmas treat boxes, since this isn't a business venture and it's more just me trying to figure out what baked goods I'm going to give to neighbors and family and friends, I like to utilize the first couple weeks in December to really figure out what it is that I'm going to be making. I love trying out new recipes during this time because I can make little tweaks, or I can decide which recipes I like and which ones are worth skipping. So today I'm trying out these gingerbread cupcakes, and I haven't made this recipe before. The only thing that I would change is the way that I put the butters and sugars together. Because everything is so cold in my house, despite the fact that I used quote-unquote room temperature butter, it's kind of a little bit more solid than I would say room temperature butter in the summer. So it didn't incorporate as well, so I got a few more bubbles kind of in this batter. It's totally fine when you actually bite into it. You don't really notice anything different in the taste, but when it comes to the look of it, it just isn't as smooth because that butter wasn't incorporated as well as it could have been. And in the frosting today, I am going to be using that Mexican vanilla, which my friend brought me back, and I am so grateful for it. It smells delicious. Now I wanted to do a little bit of a peppermint striped buttercream. I wanted these cakes to look super whimsical, so I put out that white buttercream first, and then I've got some red buttercream in there. You'll notice that I have that on a double boiler. The reason is just to get that a little bit more saturated in color. Now, in general, I don't use a whole lot of red food coloring when possible because it really tends to dye everything, especially your mouth. So I try to make sure that I only use it very sparingly, and then I use that heating trick to give it a little bit more saturation. Now I made a little bit of a mistake with this. I definitely underestimated the size of my piping bags. I should have gotten extra large piping bags so that that whole roll would actually fit. So I ended up squeezing it out a little bit strangely in these regular sized piping bags, and then it doesn't have as nice of a swirl as it could have. And on the second batch of cupcakes, you'll notice I kind of give up completely and it kind of just all melts into red, which was fine. I really wanted to get these swirly patterns on at least a few of the cupcakes. I'm using a large French tip today, and then I'm just kind of using the exact same rosette method. So you start from the center and then you work your way around. I work my way around counterclockwise. Now, if you're curious about the cupcake recipe that I utilized, I will link that down in the description box below. And the frosting that I'm using today is Italian meringue buttercream. I have a video on that which you can check out in the right-hand corner. Now, I still get quite a few comments on the daily talking about how the incorporation of coloring is really difficult in your Italian meringue buttercream or Swiss meringue buttercream, and you get separation going on. I've actually never had this issue. I use Chef Master and Americolor, and both of them incorporate really, really nicely. But you could always try switching up your formulas that you're using that work a little bit better with things like buttercreams. Color Mill would be an option, or you can also try to use that double boiler method that I just showed you, where you put the bowl of your stand mixer into a simmering pot of water and then re-whip it. And you might have to whip it for a little bit longer than you think. Even after maybe 10 minutes, it still might not be looking how you want it to. Just keep going. After all of the cupcakes were finally decorated with that buttercream, it was time to add on the sprinkles. So I've got some nonpareils there, and I also have some snowflake quins, and I have these little gingerbread men that are just some icing transfers that I made. Now, in this cold weather, if you are choosing to work with American buttercream, especially where I live right now, it would probably solidify and crust up pretty quickly, so you would want to apply these sprinkles as quickly as possible. With Italian meringue buttercream or Swiss meringue buttercream, there is a lot more time to apply these without them popping off. Like I said, I wanted these cupcakes to be really kind of whimsical, almost Grinch-like, so I'm going to add on a healthy dose of that glitter pump spray. And I told you guys I made these because I wanted to get rid of these macarons, and I love that they're pink. I love pink being incorporated with Christmas things. So one thing I always try to think about is the type of packaging that I'm going to be using for baked goods that are going to be given away. So I'm going to be giving these away to my coworkers, so I need to make sure that they're actually going to fit in the clamshell boxes that I have. So I tried to be fairly careful about that macaron placement, making sure that it's not too high because I want to be able to actually close the box. And the final step of this process was sticking in a little gingerbread man. When I've seen all the inspiration for gingerbread cupcakes, they often feature real gingerbread, which is really cute, but is a lot of work, and I had these all ready to go, so I decided to go with this, since the whole reason for these cupcakes is to try and use up the things that I already have. My family and friends gave these a try. It's a really nice spiced up cupcake. So I will leave this recipe down in the description box below so you guys can find it there and try it out yourself. It is a great one, and most of the ingredients you probably have on hand. Now let's get into the pricing of these cupcakes. Cupcakes are really easy to price because they're pretty straightforward. So these cupcakes, if they were a custom order, would be $5.50 each Canadian with a dollar minimum implemented. So whether that be $50 or $100, whatever your dollar minimum is at your bakery. And for the stock order, my vision for this would be if you owned a bakery storefront and someone was coming in to purchase one by themselves, it would be $5 Canadian each. You could also do this as a pre-sale though and have it for like $30 for half a dozen. I was gifted a ton of these boxes, and in a quest to make room for more of my Christmas baking, I am so happy I get to use up some of these clamshell boxes. Now, one thing I like to do when cupcakes are iced with something like Italian meringue buttercream or a whipped cream or Swiss meringue buttercream is I like to place it in the fridge for about 30 minutes before packaging. This just allows me to handle the cupcake a lot easier because one little gentle brush can cause me to kind of take off part of the icing. So it really is important that I get that 30 minutes of time in there. Or the better way to do it is to decorate those cupcakes directly in the packaging. And in this particular box, I mixed some up with no macarons and some with macarons. Now let's get into the subscriber submission of the day. This one comes from @OvenDelights, and it is such a fun buttercream pattern. I love the color blue as well. You guys know, blue is one of my favorite colors. So be sure to go and comment and drop them a like, and be sure to follow them. And if you want to be the next subscriber submission of the day, then be sure to follow me @SDBakeShop on Instagram, where you can either tag me in a photo or send me a photo. And all desserts and any levels are welcome. Thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you can be part of the Sweetie fam. Right now, I'm uploading weekly, so make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I upload. Also, be sure to comment, request, or ask a question. I love hearing from you guys. Bye!